Hello and welcome to Charity's Treasures. Today is Candace Owens Wednesday. Okay, so Charlie continues to give me information about the big fish dream. Do you think Candace will listen? Will George Farmer debate me? So I am going to give you more information about the conversations that I keep having with Charlie because he keeps talking to me like all the time. But before I talk about our conversation, I want to share some information because I'm going to challenge George Farmer to debate, right? Because he's listening to my podcast. Anyways, what is this about? Coach Colin, who I really like, he's so funny. I love listening to his podcast. He usually just relays information, but he's so funny. He makes me laugh the whole time he's talking about stuff. And I think that's important. Laughter is important. Okay, so Coach Colin was talking on his show recently, I think it was this week, actually, about how there's no amount of money that he would take to debate Candace Owens. Like none, he said. He even threw out some figures. Now, Candace certainly knows more than I do about government and related issues. But on religious principles and doctrines, I would definitely debate her and I would absolutely win. She wouldn't even come close. I know it. Candace says George, her husband, is supposedly a theologist. She also stated that he doesn't like compliments. When she kindly compliments him, he becomes increasingly uncomfortable. Candace said this week that she is not experienced. I've also seen that. I've seen her with an interview with him. And whenever she says something nice, you can automatically see that he's just like totally uncomfortable. It's kind of funny. Anyways, Candace said this week that she is not so experienced in her knowledge of the Catholic faith, which is why she doesn't intentionally preach concerning principles and doctrines, because she is still learning and doesn't want to make a horrible mistake. You know what, George? Since Candace said that she is not so experienced in her knowledge of the Catholic faith, I think we should debate, you and I. Yes, more especially on the principles and doctrines of the Bible. I might even include some backup scriptures from the Book of Mormon. George, I would really love to meet you and have a conversation with you. Not only to talk about the returned and restored true gospel, but because I love accents. And when I listen to you, I think you have a very attractive accent. I can see why Candace likes you so much. And you are also very attractive. And this is a bonus if we were to debate. I can see why Candace loves to hear your voice, as she talks about often on her show. I imagine many times she's thinking in her mind and not out loud while you talk to her. Well, I don't agree with what George is saying in this moment, and I have a different opinion, but I'm just gonna let him talk because his voice is so nice and soothing. And George, you're thinking after the conversation, why is she giving me so much love and increased attention? She must agree with me. George, it's not because of what you said or because she agrees with you. Because she doesn't agree with you, George. No, George, it's because of how you said what you said. She can't withhold herself after you've talked to her for so long. She then begins to guide you in a place that only you two are allowed to go. And you're like, but honey, my sweet Candace, I haven't finished talking. I have so much more to say. And she's like, oh yes, George, you are finished for now. You can start talking again tomorrow. And then we can go through this cycle all over again. Well, I should really stop there because what happens next is really none of my business. Anyways, I hope you call me George Farmer so we can debate And because Candace was saying that you don't like compliments, after our debate, you won't have to worry about her giving you a sweet compliment because I would have won. I look forward to speaking with you, George, and finding a time so we can debate. Maybe I could even meet Candace and your cute little babies after our debate because they are so adorable. You two create gorgeous babies. Well, on with today's episode. Okay, so I just had to talk to George for a little bit because he was on my mind. Anyways, now back to Charlie. Charlie is a chatterbox. Since he found out that he can talk to me and I'm listening, all he does is talk. The only problem with Charlie talking to me is that he doesn't sleep. He's like in heaven. He doesn't need to sleep. So he keeps me up at night. He talks to me during the day, but I'll wake up in the night and I'll hear his voice just chattering along, which I'm glad, but I do need some sleep, Charlie. On Monday, Charlie said, so I'm just going to talk about our conversation today, this week that we've been having. On Monday, Charlie said, Charity, if you help me, then I promise to help you. Because all this is not just about reaching Candace. It's about participating in the plan of salvation on both sides of the veil. It is about participating in God's work and in gathering Israel. I understand what that means now. While I was on the earth, I was confused. I wanted to help Israel. I knew that they were in an important part of God's plan somehow and felt this strong connection. But I also realized before I died that the government of Israel wasn't engaging in righteous and moral behaviors. I didn't know exactly why I felt so passionate about Israel. I eventually came to understand that the government wasn't helping the people of Israel or the people of America. But then I died. I couldn't figure it out in time to help the situation be more productive in a way that would bring peaceful solutions. I now understand, Charity, why Israel is so important and why the entire land of Canaan is important. I'm excited to bring God's plan to fruition now that I know what it all means. I say to Charlie, one thing I'm learning about you, Charlie, as we have these conversations, is it feels like you're always laughing and you're always in a good mood. Unless we're talking about something serious. But even then, when we're talking about something serious, it's like I can feel a smile on your face, especially now, because I think you know so much more. Because you're on the other side of the veil, you can see things that I cannot see. I enjoy talking to you because I feel like you're just always in a good mood. I feel like you're laughing while we talk. It's interesting. I didn't know your personality. In fact, I started really paying attention to you about a year before you died. But I enjoy these conversations because I receive valuable information, and yet it's a light conversation, a fun conversation, even when we discuss heavy topics. You seem to be the type of person who values the importance of being yourself and making others feel at ease. Like this is valuable to you, to treat people this way. I like these conversations. When someone's serious, it's sometimes difficult to have conversations with them because you can't joke around, you can't have fun. It's like they're always serious. I feel the same way about you, Charity. I'm so happy God has allowed me to connect with you. Candace's shadow. Monday, as I was running my 22 miles, I could hear Charlie again. He came to me while I was pondering about Candace's shadow in my dream of the mirrors, and why she was upset that she was not attached to Charlie and instead attached to me. As I was carefully pondering this situation, I heard Charlie's voice again. And it's interesting. It's like when I have seen him on screen, because I've never met Charlie, I can now feel his mannerisms. Even though I can't see him, it's like I can feel the way he's moving and the excitement of his body movements, hand gestures, and his voice rising when he gets excited, which I love because that's what happens to me. I think in many ways, he's similar to me. When you get lost in the grand excitement of the interesting topic you're discussing, then you think back and you're like, who was that person that just was talking? It's like in the process of discussing an exciting topic you're passionate about, suddenly you are engaged in the process. You're elevated to a level to use words that immediately come into your mind that you never thought to use before. These moments are exhilarating. Maybe that's part of the reason, too, why Charlie's coming to me. Not only the coming forth of seemingly magical words are exhilarating that seem to fit the narrative you're trying to portray, but the feeling of elevation that your spirit feels when you're doing the works of God and He elevates you. It's like you're outside of yourself, looking upon yourself in that moment. And I don't know how else to explain it if you've never felt it, but I feel like that a lot of times. I have tried to describe this to my children and my family because they always say this to me, that I need to be quiet when I get excited because I'm too loud. But I just get lost in the moment, even in these videos. Sometimes I look back and I'm thinking, oh man, what was I doing? Anyways, Charlie said, this is what he said to me. Candace and her shadow are upset because she couldn't connect to me, and her shadow was connected to you instead. Candace doesn't understand why she wouldn't get this revelation from me. I was her friend, and you are not her friend. I was not your friend yet. So how are you getting and receiving this information? She's wondering why she can't have control of this situation. But this is a vital lesson for her to understand how God works and how the Spirit works. She does not completely understand this process because in reality, she does not have the gift of the Holy Ghost because she has not received it through proper authority. She can receive many things and information through the Holy Ghost. But because she doesn't have the gift of the Holy Ghost, she cannot receive direct revelation, especially unique spiritual revelation, unless she has the gift of the Holy Ghost. And she can only obtain this gift through proper authority. Charlie, I don't know if she's listening to this podcast, but what I gather from you, from what you are telling me, is that if she is, or if she ever does, it might cause her to be angry, not angry in a bad way, but angry in a frustrated and confused way. Exactly, Charity. Why would God send some seemingly no influential or important influencer to receive revelation from a dear friend that she should be receiving revelation from? This parallels to Joseph Smith. God didn't raise up Joseph Smith to restore the gospel because he was already important in the world. That wouldn't have shown God's power and how God works in the end of this process and how the church could grow from a simple man into a great product and church. King David was a seemingly small boy who did not seem to have the strength to kill Goliath, yet he killed Goliath. I like this analogy, which is why I deliberately used it with Candace. Charlie, do you expect Candace to kill Goliath? Yes, I do, Charity. And you can help me to help her see how. Goliath represents the evils of the world and is the filth in the fish tank. The tank is much smaller than the lake, which symbolizes the wider expanse of heaven. After you clean the fish tank, this will allow Candace to move from the tight confines of the fish tank to the expansive mass of the lake, where she will gain the opportunity to extend her knowledge and understanding and share it with others. Charlie, how do I clean the fish tank? What are the cleaning supplies I must use? Charity, when she accepts the stones you provide, which is the cleaning supplies, which God will give you, she will be able to kill Goliath. In the process, she will free herself from the tank and be able to swim in the wide expanse of the lake. Charlie, how are you understanding all this? Have you always known information about Joseph Smith and the church? Charity, I am in the spirit world and I am being taught. Remember, Charity, that episode you did in the beginning of when you first began your podcast, the one about Scott? Yes, I remember. Charity, missionaries are teaching me the true gospel, the same kind that taught Scott. I am learning so much. And when he said this, I was thinking, oh, he is from what people say, they always said that he was just sucking in information, sucking in all the knowledge he could. And I feel like when he was telling me this, that that's what he was doing, just this information, he's just grabbing on it because he's just, he's got that kind of personality and he's so smart and he retains all this knowledge. So when he was saying this is what went through my mind. Okay, so missionaries are teaching me the same kind that taught him. And then he says, I'm learning so much. The last 6 months, I have been learning, and because I know more than I did while I was on the earth, I can now talk to you about what I know and understand, and I can show you and teach you about the things I see here, which will help you in your journey. Which, so much more information that he has told me, and I have had so much insight and things that have happened in my life that brought me to this point, and now why I went through certain things, or certain things were said to me, or certain blessings were given, because I'm just amazed at what he's sharing with me. And there's just so much, and if I had more time, I would have longer episodes, but I have a job and other things, and I don't get any compensation for this. So it's just, I only do this when I have time, but there's so much beautiful and wonderful things that he has been telling me and talking to me about. And I don't get much sleep because of it, but I'm still awake during the morning, which is funny, that I have still a lot of energy. But anyways, so many wonderful things I'm learning, and that God is sharing with me through Charlie, which there's a purpose and a reason. And all these things I'm going to share with you the last week and a half, all these conversations I've had with Charlie, there's just so much information. And I wish I could share them all right away, but I guess God works little by little, precept upon precept, right? And so, yeah. So tomorrow I am going to have an episode and continue this conversation that I'm having with Charlie. And Friday, though, I'm going to the temple in the morning. So I don't think I'm going to have an episode on Friday. So after tomorrow, I will proceed with this conversation with Charlie next Wednesday, because that's Candace Owens Wednesday. But I would also say, if you want to understand what I'm talking about, you're going to have to watch other episodes. Otherwise, you'll watch this episode and it'll be fine. But every episode I have leads, all the information I share, even if it's not directly about Charlie, it leads to what we're talking about. So if you want to fully understand what I'm talking about, because I noticed that sometimes I have a lot of views on certain ones and not so many, but they all relate to this story because I'm telling a story this year, and Charlie is engaging in that story, and it's a beautiful thing. And in the coming days, and maybe even next week, you're going to understand, because he revealed to me what is the purpose of this. And then I have to give you information, but the purpose of it shocked me and amazes me. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing that he was talking to me about. And so I don't know if I'll get to that this week, but probably next week. Tomorrow, I'm just going to continue this specific conversation. But anyways, so I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you join me tomorrow. And I hope you go back and watch my other episodes just so you can understand. And that is my purpose. My purpose is just to help you understand. And you know what's important is, as I talked to Charlie, everything he did, it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the fame. It wasn't about fortune. It wasn't about recognition. And maybe in the beginning he didn't understand what it was about, but he started to understand, and now understands, especially on the other side, is that it was all about teaching the gospel. And that's the way it is for me. Charlie just wanted to teach the gospel. He didn't have to have all this money and everything else that now Turning Point is trying to get. That's not what he wanted. He wanted people to know who Jesus Christ was. And that became his purpose. In the beginning, and you'll see when we have these continued conversations, he wasn't sure the path. He was just trying to figure things out. But as he walked that path, he began to be enlightened, and he began to figure out more of what his purpose was, and he engaged purposefully in that purpose. And he's sharing that with me, and it's exciting. And I feel that same way. I mean, the only reason I want more followers so I can do this as a job and share with you the things that I know in more detail more often, and that's, I think, what Charlie desired too. That's why he was always running around, always doing things, always going here, going there, because well, obviously from the information we know and just from talking to him, he knew he didn't have much time. And so he wanted to spend that time, as much time as he could, teaching everyone else the gospel. And so, yeah, that's what I'm going to be talking about a little bit more. I'm kind of spilling more of the beans of our conversation. But anyways, yeah, we'll see more in detail about that in the next coming days and weeks, because there's just so much. He just has been giving me so much information. I'm trying to take it all in. I'm trying to write it all down. But yeah, anyways, when you want to share the gospel just to share it because you want people to know about Christ, that's the biggest blessing. The biggest blessing is just sharing the gospel because you know it's true. And even if you were poor and didn't have anything, when you know the gospel is true, you just want to share it. And that's what Charlie wanted to do. And that's what he's trying to do on the other side of the veil. And it's really important. It's really important. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.